What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 26 of the Art is in Depth podcast. Joining us on this episode, we have Emily Lopez and Zach Blunt talking to Jennifer Nicole, a poet. She was fresh off of her feature at Proletariat Gallery's Coast of Soul Poetry Night. Very fantastic. We talk about breaking the echo chamber and just finding commitment and inspiration to furthering our path and as artists and realizing that we're all creative and that we can all create great things no matter what social or what mental things stop us. It was a very great episode, very fantastic conversation. We just want to welcome everybody back. I know we took a little bit of a hiatus, and please enjoy the episode. Subscribe, follow, tell your friends, let everybody know that we're here, and we look forward to bringing y'all more great content. Appreciate it. Now it's getting everything.
Are you okay with this going online?
Are we really doing this again?
We're doing it again.
Yeah, I'll see you later, but for now, it's fine.
It's even funnier the second time.
She's going to hit me up later like, okay, well, I didn't sign that release. So.
Listen, I'm a grad student. I got to make money somehow.
You know?
Hey, there it is. So are you from Houston originally?
Yes, I was born in Louisiana, but I've been here. I mean, we moved here since I was like 2 or 3, so.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, similar. I'm from Oklahoma, but I moved in Houston in 3rd grade, so I grew up there.
Yeah, I
I
definitely.
consider Houston my city. Still,
Yeah, same. I definitely consider myself from here. I have a Houston skyline tattoo, actually.
Oh, word.
On my arm.
Dope.
When'd you get that?
March.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I saw it online.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Is that the first tattoo?
Second.
Second? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get some more tattoos. You know,
Same.
before I got my first one, everybody was like, "It's gonna be addictive after you get it." I got my first one, and I was like, "I fucking hurt. I'm not like, I don't want to do that." Like, I got the black line of this one done when I was 18. It was my graduation present for my dad.
That
Nice.
shit's dope.
But like, she has a really heavy hand and like thick lines, so it just hurt.
Did Asher do it?
No, I got it's a Rhea Yuri from Maryland. She did my dad's sleeves.
Nice.
Got
And
you.
this one's Chuck Jones. I don't know if you met Chuck Jones.
No, I haven't.
Met Chuck. He also did those two.
Oh, I
pieces
have.
right there.
I have met Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Chuck's super dope. I always shout out Chuck. I think I've shouted out Chuck on multiple episodes because his parents named him after the animator Chuck Jones. that did like Looney Tunes and shit.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, super cool. And Chuck Jones also one of my big influences for my art because he had a really cool saying that his teacher used to tell him, and it says, "You have 10,000 bad drawings you need to get out."
You know?
Yeah,
That's real as fuck.
So you should never really hate on anything you draw that's bad because that's just another step.
Segue. How does that relate to poetry? Do you feel like you have to like write bad poems to get to the good shit, Jen?
Sometimes I think it kind of depends for me. Like when I'm trying to force it, absolutely. Like it just doesn't work, and I have to write just the shitty first draft, as it were. Every once in a while, like something will just strike. Like I'll feel it like in my body, and like the whole draft will like come out in one piece, and it tends to behave a little differently. But yeah, for the most part, you gotta kind of wade through the shit.
Do you feel like you should force it?
I've never really had luck forcing it. So I think sometimes I think there's a difference between forcing a poem that doesn't really want to come out and like being disciplined with writing. Like I think that I could be like, okay, I want to write, like this is a thing I want to do, so I'm going to make time an hour a day or whatever, right, to sit down and do it. But yeah, if I'm sitting there and nothing is coming and I'm just frustrated, I think I've allowed myself the grace and space to step away from that because at that point it's just not productive for my headspace.
Well, what is like the difference between forcing writing and being disciplined in that writing process? How do you differentiate those two things?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's messy, right? But I think I think like sitting down, like having the discipline to like sit down and like be like, okay, I'm going to at least try to write. And even if I just sit here, like I'm still thinking about writing, maybe if it's not coming, I'll like watch a few YouTube videos of other poets, or I'll read some poetry, or like engage with some sort of other art.
Okay.
And like make space for art and make space for like creation, can be like a discipline thing.
Okay.
Instead of just being like, oh, I have this concept that I think is really cool, but it's not shaping into anything. And it's like at some point, like, okay, I'm just going to let this concept go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's real. That's real.
Because I feel like it's the same way, right? Like with my dissertation, like there's so much overlap there where I'm just like, God damn it. Like, I don't really want to be doing this right now. And also, like, even if I sit down and I just write a summary of this article that I read, like, at least I wrote something. So it's like if I sit down and write, I don't know, a couple of stanzas or like one line or something, like I feel better. And then that usually propels me forward to do other things, like to keep writing.
So once you get into the flow, it's easy to just keep going.
Yeah, momentum is the biggest issue for me, for sure.
That's real. I think that's for a lot of artists, actually. Just like kind of keeping that.
I got to bring my book because I collect quotes.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
This book I'm reading by Larry Smith. It's man, I can't remember the really name of it because I just picked it up. I picked up a bunch of business books, but like a lot of like career help books. But Larry Smith, he said this in the book: the passion invites an intensity of enduring focus. And when you were talking about that, it made me think of this thing that I wrote down today. Because whenever you sit and try to force it, I hit blocks on that too. Like, especially if I need, like if I'm doing a commission piece. So like that skull I painted out there.
Yeah.
I procrastinated that thing for so long because I was trying to force a design on it. Because this client was weird. He was kind of like, I mean, he's cool. Shout out Jay Foley, you're cool, bro. But like it was weird in the sense of like he was like, hey man, you could do like a pelican skull or do like kind of like a sugar skull, or you could do this and that, or you could not, whatever, do whatever you want. And I was like, well, what do you want? Do you want a pelican skull? And he was just like, yeah man, it'd be cool, but honestly, do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, like, I was like, because I don't want to disappoint, what I mean? Because it's
those
like,
commissions are, you got to get it right.
because it's like my resume and the thing on the line. So I'm like, look, because I'm like, I know I'm getting paid for it, but I want you to like it.
Sure.
Because if you don't like it, I don't want your money.
Yeah.
That's just how I do things.
Sure.
I agree with that.
But whenever I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna take his other advice and just do something on it. Because whenever I do my monster faces and stuff, that's me tapping into my passion. Because I just do whatever I want. I'm like, I'm just gonna just roll with it.
That's just dope.
And so that's why that stuck out to me. And that's what's cool. When you said that, I was like, oh, I totally feel that. Because that's what I have to do. I can't force it. Because so I'm doing those shoes right now behind you, and I don't know what I'm doing. I tried to force something, and I'm like doing this like crazy like colorway, because I like how blues and orange go together. But I was like, man, I don't know what to do on these, and I kept hitting like blocks on them. I've had them taped off for like a week, and like I just didn't know what to do. But then I talked to the guy and the client, and he was just like, man, he's like, just do what you want, bro. Just go off on them. That's what I wanted you to do anyway. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Just started firing
Synapse
off.
firing.
Yeah, so like that overthinking, because really when I try to force something, it makes me overthink. And it makes me really anxious about it. And then it makes me not want to do it. And then all that just turns into procrastination slushy.
It's really funny. Earlier today, actually, my friend Matt Napoli, shout out Matt, I love you. You're doing such good work. I'm so proud of you, bro. He called me when I was on my way home from work, and we got to talking and stuff. And before we hung up the phone, we were talking about how when you enjoy the fucking process, the art is so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
It's just fucking good. And I don't know what it is. Like, I don't like, because I know there's things that I've done and I thought it was good at the time, and I look back on it and it's shit, right? But like, I think generally when you enjoy the fucking process, when you really love it, doing it, creating it, this is fun. It turns out great.
It's better,
man.
because you're putting. I mean, that positive energy transfers over. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because I tied in this analogy with so Stephanie, with her baking. My girlfriend Stephanie, she works at Vargas, like really prestigious restaurant out here, just desserts. And especially when you're working with desserts, you have to be very particular, like it's chemistry. Like good food is chemistry, whether people know it or not. And one of the things is they teach you in baking school is you cannot make desserts in a bad mood. If you make desserts in a bad mood, they will taste terrible. Like, or they won't taste like all there and correct. Like she talks about this all the time, and I was like, that's totally what it is, you know. Because I mean, like you know, out of kind of that chaos, you can get, you know, you can get diamonds out of chaos, you know. But at the same time, like if you're not enjoying the process and you're not paying attention to what you're doing, like, you know, positively, you can mess up anything.
Yeah.
And that's something I really try to work. And that's why I moved out of doing commissions that were things I didn't want to do. So when for a while I was just taking any commission I could get for money, and I ended up doing like Disney shoes and like all this shit I just didn't want to. Oh yeah, dude, like on my Instagram, like I mean like my Ursula came out really good, 'cause I'm good at drawing scary things, but when it comes to drawing like pretty Ariel, like I did okay, but it was funny because they were my friend Ethan. He's from Jersey, and he was making fun of me because apparently the Ariel I drew had like a Jersey jawline, is what he said. So he kept saying, he's like flounder, like taking this like Jersey voice with it. And I'm like, stop. I was like, man, Ariel could be from Jersey. Jersey's got a shore.
Hey, I see what you did there. Jen, can you like tell us like how you got into this poetry shit?
Yeah, so it's such a like small world thing, right? Like I had seen a few videos on YouTube, and I was talking to a friend, Stephanie, and I was like, man, I really want to find a poetry spot in Houston. I don't know where to go. And she was like, well, I went to undergrad with this guy named Amir, and I think that he does poetry. Like, I think he does a thing. And so she was like, let me look and I'll send you the info. And so, obviously, like, Amir is with Right About Now. And so she sends me this stuff. And the first night I went, Chibi was hosting, Ebony Stewart was featuring, and it was just ridiculous, right? Like to see Ebony as like the first, like my introduction to poetry, basically. I was like, shit, like I'm done. Like this is it. Yeah. And so I fell in love with it, and I went back like for, it was like over a year. I mean, I kept going and was just like a really big fan, and wasn't writing and wasn't performing, but was still there every week. So that was my intro. That was 4 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a long time.
Yeah, well, Juan's only been around for 5 years, so I like was kind of,
you're like one of the fucking newest people, like or oldest people there.
I was like quiet, like I like stayed behind the scenes for the first like year and a half.
That's so dope, dude.
That's really cool. And I've noticed a lot of people do that with the Coast to Soul poetry.
Yeah,
because the first time I started coming out to it was when I still lived in Austin and I was moving here, but I've been there for like every single one. Mm-hmm. And it's been cool watching just how many people started out in the crowd, and they they'd come every now and then they'd come every time, and then now they're on stage doing it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool seeing people just get that inspiration, and I love how the poetry scene is very inviting, very supportive.
Yeah.
And really, because you know what, nobody wants to go on stage because of the same shit. Like, well, what if they don't like what I say? Mm-hmm. What if I say it's crazy? What if they think I'm crazy? What if they think... And I'm just like, bro, we're all fucking crazy. Go up there and do it. You know what I mean? Like, because like even with me, like, I've only been up there once, and it was really like I had something from high school that like I threw up there. I got I need to type that thing up because it was an old piece of paper that I had. Cloud.
That's crazy.
Shout out Terrell, Cloud Style.
Yes.
So he made me go up there and do it when we were in high school, because he was doing slam when we were like seniors in high school, and that's what like showed me the scene. And I was just like, whatever, because like I've written songs before. Like, I've been a musician my whole life.
Yeah.
So like. And honestly, English class was like my favorite class. It was like my subject I'm the best at. Just I'm terrible, terrible at math and all those things. I mean, like when it comes to money, I'm good at math. But like when it, but I really like, though, just in that small instance I had, how supportive people are.
Yeah.
and how they want you to get up there. And we were all there once.
Yeah, I would not have continued, I don't think, if it hadn't been for the support. Like, immediately. People were supporting me before I even ever got on the stage. Like, people were encouraging me to get up on the stage. Every week, they would be like, Alex, our old DJ, would be like, when are you getting on the stage? When are you getting on the stage? When are you getting on the mic? Come on, Jen. Like, I know you're a poet. I know you're a writer. And I just kept being like, no, I'm not. And like, I ran into Zach Cab in a bar, and
it's crazy.
Really embarrassing story. Have I told you this?
No,
story?
I haven't heard this shit.
So I had been going to Juan for like a year and a half at this point. So like I knew, like I recognized all the regulars, right? But like none of y'all knew me because like I was sitting back there just being like, okay, I'm not a poet. I'm gonna sit here. And so like I run into Zach and just immediately was like, oh hey. As if like we're bros. And then immediately I was like, holy fucking shit, this guy does not know who I am. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, oh, I go to Juan and sometimes, and I was like so awkward. And like, but it's Zach, right? And so he's so sweet. He's like, no, I recognize you. I'm like, Zach, you're full of shit. You did not. But even that night, he was like, hey, I'm hosting on Wednesday. Like, if you want to get up on the mic, like, I would love for you to. And I did. And that was actually the first time, and it's like, so even before I ever got on the mic, like, I had people in my corner. And that's how Juan has been for me. Like, this whole poetry community, even like as it is, expanding even beyond Juan, like, it's just, I have felt like everyone just hold me. And it's been really great.
And that's why Juan has really thrived to that point, and because I was checking out some videos, man. They got lots of views on those videos.
Oh yeah, man.
And
Amir works his ass off, dude.
And he does. But the thing with because running and being there for the event. Oh, welcome to the mic, Emily Lopez.
Don't do that. It was supposed to be
Here she is.
chill.
No, it's super chill. She just came through. Yeah, with a little question mark.
I can't say what I was doing
It's okay.
for everybody.
Oh,
But we'll find
so
out after.
so what we were talking about how Juan Poetry through their just family aspect and just being inviting to new poets and everyone has helped them thrive. Same thing with Costa Soul.
That almost speaks.
It's helped, and it's really cool because it like I was saying, it was one thing to start the organization, but you need the members and everything to feel like it's a family and feel like it's whole and make them want to, without any kind of like known direct compensation, like
Did that
give
conversation come up
back
in
and give to.
regards how they got started?
Huh? Yeah. How she got started? Well, she said she was going for like a year and a half. You said, and then started just from everyone being supportive and wanting to get up there, get everybody on. No, it's all good.
We were hunting down other things for
Well,
the purpose.
Well, you know what's funny? I didn't even do my intro.
Damn.
We kind of just jumped in.
And don't make me part of it.
I'll just mix it. Yeah. Well, okay, I'll do it. You know what, everybody? Here we go. You know what? I'm just gonna leave this.
Say, cut it out
No.
right now.
I'm not cutting
Here's
shit.
our
I'm leaving
intro.
this where it is. Welcome everybody to the Artists in Depth podcast. Well, I know we're a couple minutes in. We are here with Jennifer Nicole.
Yes.
She's fresh off her feature poetry set at the Proletariat Public House and Gallery Coastal Soul Poetry Night. Yes.
I didn't host tonight. Zach, my guy.
Hosted by Zach Blunt. Back
got
again.
That look,
Welcome,
but
sir.
It wasn't me.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir. And
a
of course, as
pleasure.
always, Emily Lopez here for our poetry episodes. And then also the lovely Stephanie Bass, baker extraordinaire.
Yes.
So chimes in.
My girl.
Yeah, she has a really good conversation on episode 23. Was Zach Blunt? I believe it's at 23.
Oh yeah, we going
Please-
to really
please,
good.
everyone-
Man, that's a
please-
good fucking episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Please,
We
everyone,
were
go
all
check that
on
out.
the first time with
Go
it.
check out all the episodes. They are
That
amazing.
was- oh yeah. Oh, I didn't know she didn't have a
Cool. So
Don't be scared.
from all that, I know we've had a little bit of a discussion already, but I usually ask the poets that come on if you'd like to spit a piece.
Oh, I was not prepared for that.
Ooh.
Sure, I can do
Do you have
that.
any off the head, or do you need
I
a
do.
phone?
No,
okay.
I do.
All right. Anyone like doesn't matter. Could be short. Could be like 30 seconds. Could be whatever you want to do.
Okay,
Does not matter. Whatever you're comfortable with.
cool. So there's this thing in nerd culture wherein anytime a woman says she likes something, the mansplainers just appear with their trivia questions as if to make her prove it. So to the men who challenge nerd girls on our level of nerdiness, let's go. Because I'm the type of nerd who can fuck you up in some Harry Potter trivia with one breath and conduct a Freudian analysis of a Quidditch game with the next. The type of nerd who, yes, plays board games against myself and, yes, is a slut for good punctuation. Like, if you know the difference between a colon, a semicolon, and a dash, whew. Also, a properly formatted MLA bibliography, that shit is borderline erotic. And look, I'm not ashamed of any of this. I love that I know that being this openly excited about weird shit has been recently coined neo-sincerity by contemporary transmedial narratologists. Because I'm the type of nerd who is woman and smart and unapologetic about it at the same time, the type of nerd who does not need a man to give me permission to like what I fucking like. So to the men who challenge nerd girls on our level of nerdiness, you don't get to knight me into nerddom as if I'm not already a fucking queen.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, wow, wow.
Everybody for Nerd Girl
Oh,
Jen.
thank
I love it.
you.
And her million upper names.
I love
you need to give them all.
Every single bit of
Everybody
that.
needs to be following you on all.
Yeah, so
So
I'm at Nerd Girl Jen because of that. I think that might be my favorite poem that I have. And so,
And
like,
I feel like it
That's
really
fucking badass.
corresponds.
Thank
with
you.
that. But your spectrum runs just crazy outside of that.
thank you.
You know,
Thank
and
you.
I think that's really imperative to set on. Like, not only is that where people can find you inside of the spectrum of realms on realms on realms, but it goes much further. It goes super, super much further. I was listening to, and I can't remember the name of the poem. I was listening to a poem of yours the other day, and I couldn't believe how, it was one of your first poems you did with Right About Now. Oh, I'm sorry.
You good? You good?
So
I just want to
sorry.
make sure we hear you.
So I've never shared a mic. I'm sorry, guys. We've never shared a mic. I didn't realize when I'm so fucking loud. Like,
No, you're good.
You're
I don't
good.
realize it doesn't come from all that. But one of the first poems that I ever heard you speak, I felt like it touched so many different bases. Like, you did the nerd girl thing. You did the, well, let's just kind of conquer it from this theory aspect. And then you just bombarded in the best of ways of like, okay, so let me tell you why this is what that is and what that isn't. And you just have a really amazing, in other words, way of articulately breaking things down. So
Thank
does
you.
that come naturally to you? Is that from school and like the translation of both? Or is it something that you've had to separate from to grow and make bigger outside of just academics and, you know, what you're exploring
Yeah.
in regards to, you know, your curriculum as well as your passions that
Sure.
line up with that?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. And it's something that I've thought a lot about because I think part of the reason that I resisted writing poetry for so long was because I was like subscribing to this binary of critical and creative work. And I was like, I'm an academic. So I guess I should say I'm a PhD student. And so I'm trying to finish a dissertation and graduate hopefully next year. And so I was like, man, like I'm an academic. I can't be a poet. Like I'm an academic, and that's all. I was really trying to like pigeonhole myself, really ignorantly. And
That's a good term.
so then, once I kind of realized that was bullshit, then I was like, okay, so how can I use both? Because I actually really believe that my poetry informs my theory, and my
Yes.
theory informs my poetry. And so I think like you see a lot of that come out.
And people feel that. I want to let you know that people feel that. I just feel like, I don't want to interrupt, but I want to insert that displays just as much as you're hoping it does.
Thanks. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the first time I really did that, I wrote this poem about the political implications of using active versus passive voice. And as you do.
And it's a big thing. You know, I spent 6 years training on, like, with one of the best customer service call room centers
Yeah.
in the country. And it was, like, mirroring and this and that.
Yeah.
And it's all about voices. It's all
Yeah.
about how you interact with people and manipulate them.
Right.
Well,
I
like
was
delivery
like-
is everything.
Yeah. Well, I was
It
sitting
is.
in this.
It is, and when you learn to talk to the certain this and this and this and that, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I was sitting in this queer feminist sociology class, and we were talking about active versus passive voice and like what like the political implications of that. And I was like, oh man, this is super theoretically interesting. This could be a fucking poem.
Man.
Because then I was like, but why? Like, why not? You know? And then so I think, yeah, since then, like I've tried to really like just figure out like, because I am both of those things. Like I am a
Are your
poet
why
and an
nots
academic.
more
Like,
intriguing as poems than your, of course, this is a poem.
oh, for sure.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I think like an example of that is the Twilight Zone poem that I did tonight. Like I call it Time Warp, but like that poem, I was like, this is so fucking weird. Like it's super like magical realism. Like it's just weird.
It's my favorite poem of yours, by the way.
Oh,
So
thank you.
fucking good.
Thank you.
Oh my
And when I first started writing it, I texted
y'all
a
writing
friend.
it,
I
I'm
was
never
just like,
writing
y'all.
again.
Yeah, I was like, this is not. I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is something, and like, it's super fucking weird. But we're gonna see what happens.
Own
So yeah. But it was a why not moment where I was like, we're
I
gonna
think
see.
it's really wonderful how you differentiate and you can apply to what was, what is, what's present, what's happening, and
Can I backtrack real
where
quick
your validity falls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
to your poem that you just spit for us so beautifully and lovely? I really enjoy sort of like how things get started. What is the inspiration of things? How are things
right,
ignited,
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
did that poem spur from a particular incident, or was it a culmination of things? And what is that story?
Yeah, it's just kind of a culmination of things, right? Like it's just like so common for these dudes, like you say, like, oh man, I'm super into, I don't like Harry Potter is a bad example. It's the example that I use, but like I feel like it doesn't happen as much with that. But oh, I'm super into whatever, right? And they're like, but have you read all the books? And like, oh, have you seen all the episodes? What happens in season 3, episode 20? Do you remember what they were wearing? And you're just like, okay, first of all, like, I don't need to know everything in order to be a fan of it. Secondly,
Sure.
like, fuck off, you know? And so, like, I think it's just like this happens over and over and over again. And, yeah. And so that poem, that's one of the poems that came out of me, like, in one kind of instant, you know? And I've gone back and edited it a few times, but it was definitely like, this is gonna be a thing, and it came out really quickly. So yeah,
Nice.
That is that passion inviting the intensity of enduring focus right there.
yeah. And I was
You feel
having
it
fun
and-
with it. Like it was a really fun, like, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. I felt I was in it. So
Well, it's something you believed in. It's something that came out just raw, like nice.
Which makes it
You going live right now?
Not live, but I'm a recorder. Gotta document shit.
There you go.
no, and I'm doing it from this side. No pressure.
Okay,
no pressure.
well,
No pressure.
shit.
Well, you know, I
I'll
know
send it to
that
you if
you
I
come
post
to your point in the podcast where like
Oh yes,
we do the.
it's almost time for that point.
Okay, well let me.
So
ask
go
you
ahead.
two then.
So almost time.
I was saying that simply
Well-
because the videos are being sent.
So I think we just kind of brushed over the PhD thing. So
And
what are
that's not
you
something-
what is your PhD going to be in?
So technically it's in English, just in general, but my specialization is in children's literature.
Oh, nice.
Which it's so much fun. Like, I don't actually write children's books. A lot of people think that I do. I don't. I'm a researcher, and so I apply theory to analyze the books,
Cool.
and to kind of think about what the books are saying about culture, about childhood. Like, what is it that they're teaching our children? Like, what is it? What kind of ideological commentary are they providing? Yeah.
Well, I actually think that's really cool for nowadays, especially with the kind of content through internet that kids are subjected to nowadays. That's actually a really cool field to kind of get into and study, because I'm sure that's rich with all kinds of information right now.
I love it. And I also love the way, one of the things that I really focus on, I actually have a paper coming out this summer on youth slam poetry. And so
nice.
that's like a realm of my research. It's not what my dissertation is about, but it is, I think, my future research. And I think it really helps us rethink childhood and like rethink our notions of what that looks like, to think about like what's appropriate and like and to complicate and push back on that a little bit, to imagine children as more fully human than we do.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah,
100%. Like being in classrooms.
Yeah.
I feel that so much. And there's this line you have to play with of like what's legally allowed versus what these kids can handle. And it's a very thin line that it's really hard to put into place. And a lot of time I don't feel comfortable like giving these kids what I know they're capable of giving because of legality reasons, legal reasons and things. So I like just really appreciate you like doing that work, like that's so important.
Thank you. I feel really strongly about it. It's like kids experience trauma. Kids are sexual. Kids are queer. Kids have like all of these different experiences, both embodied and not. And like us not acknowledging that is really dehumanizing them. Because we flatten the idea of childhood and flatten their humanity alongside it.
But usually it's the ideologies get put first rather than looking at the realistic progression of these kids.
Right, exactly. We're like, oh no, but childhood is supposed to be innocent. And it's like, well, first of all, not everyone has an innocent childhood depending on how embodied they are.
Yeah.
Secondly, like who says like what?
Majority of kids do not have an innocent.
Nowadays.
And what does that even mean? So anyway, this is like a whole thing,
Yeah, absolutely. So since you already started your academic studies before you became a poet, how has being exposed to this culture has it helped you in your field, or has it like opened up some new doors to kind of play with your field, or how has it affected your progression?
Absolutely. So first of all, definitely like it's opened a whole field insofar as I'm researching youth slam poetry in a lot of ways. And again, like have a paper coming out. I'm doing a conference next week where I'm talking about that. And everyone is like, wait, this is a thing? Holy shit. Like we can talk about this. And so that, is a whole area of research that needs to be expanded upon. So definitely that. But in a more kind of, specific or smaller level, it has helped my writing process and like my accessibility. And I think like, because I want to be the type of scholar who is accessible. I feel like I don't know. So Javon Johnson is a poet out of San Diego. He's incredible. He's also a communications scholar. And his latest book, he writes in the intro, like, I wanted my grandpa to be able to read this. And the methodology is like poetry and prose and academic like stuff all at the same time. And like, that's the kind of academic I want to be. Like, I want my language to be accessible. I want there to be like a poetics about it. Because I'm just really tired of reading this like overinflated jargon. Yeah. So.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool because it adds some art to it, and it makes it's not a. Because like a lot of writings, even if it's good, wholesome content, a lot of it, just the way it, like we're talking about delivery, the way it's delivered is kind of just like, oh my god, I don't.
Right. Like, I don't want to read this.
But if you do it like that, and it makes it interesting, and it's projected in a way that can be interesting for everyone.
Exactly.
And especially when you tie it in with the poetry, and it's like portrayed in an artistic form. Right. It's like, oh, and it also sticks with people a lot better too, because it's a lot memorable. Because whenever it's just kind of like a monotone explanation of things, like because with me, like I've been getting better with I can read, but but just like my retention of reading has always been, if it's not delivered in a certain way, I won't remember it. And like kind of something I've developed just from doodling in class so much, like if I'm in a class and I'm listening, if I'm not drawing or if my hand is not moving, I will not retain anything. Yeah. And that's a big thing for me. So that's really cool. You're trying to take that approach to these things you're going to write, and especially for these kids that you're planning on doing this for, I think that's great for them, and that'll stick with them a lot better.
Yeah, I remember my thesis advisor in my master's program telling me that critical writing, my thesis, was creative. And I remember at the time not believing her, and now of course I do, and I'm just like trying to like aspire to make her proud and like prove her right. And I'm like, no, like my dissertation is a work of art in its own way, and so how can I really do that justice and make it readable and make it memorable and make this work matter? Because I think it does, but I think I have to work to make it matter and not just isolate myself in this like ivory tower echo chamber. So
Yeah, that's really weird. How do you?
That was a really
What's weird? I think it's really cool. I think what's weird is the echo chambers that we get into. This really cool person. I can't remember his name. He says this thing. It was like specialization is really good, but you learn more about little until you know everything about nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And so like
It sounds like something Gary Vee would say, honestly.
it does. It does.
hey, y'all better follow Lil V this summer.
and it's so weird how like that's so fucking true, and how we have to be like sort of tangential to outside to things outside of like what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How are you tangent to things outside of what's in front of you?
So I consider myself incredibly interdisciplinary. I say that, and then I'll also say, on the other hand, you know, people make fun of me because they're like, "You're so niche, like you're niche within niche within niche." Like, God damn it! Like you're doing children's literature. Oh, you're doing queer children's literature. Oh, you're doing youth slam Like, what are you? No, like, come on. But at the same
In
time,
actuality, all correlates, and if you don't get it, well, take some more time.
well, but doing all of these things, right? I don't just silo myself in English. Like I do sociology, I do philosophy, I do like feminist, like queer theory, women's and gender studies stuff, like poetry. Obviously, like I feel like I have an interdisciplinary. I do a lot of material rhetoric. Like I do a bunch of like different like I try to have my hands in a bunch of different things so
That's
that
dope.
I'm not quite so specialized, even though I still am.
I think within the specializations that you were in, like you there's still so much within that.
Yeah.
There's children's lit, queer children's lit. That can be outside of children's lit as well.
Oh, for sure.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this in and of itself is like interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
Like even what you're doing, like that's dope.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
dope.
it's so, like I was like ready. I didn't have to because my committee is amazing, but I was like ready to fight my dissertation committee on including a chapter in there about like material rhetoric and the real implications of these books and like where they're placed in bookstores. And I was like, I'm ready to fight because like this needs to be in there. And they were like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I'm like, all right. But yeah, I'm not like a strictly literature person. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you, Jen, outside of like just poetry a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And fuck, I forgot what's going. You were talking about children's lit. You're fighting for these things. I don't remember what I was gonna say, but I will say this. I wanted to ask you, like, what is the implication of these things that you're talking about, of these books being placed in weird places in the library, or are these things not accessible?
So that's a whole ass paper that I've written, a chapter of my dissertation. But this stuff matters to real people because that paper in particular is on the placement of picture books with transgender characters. And the issue is that they are never in children's sections of the bookstore. They are in parenting sections, specifically under parenting issues.
Wow.
Whoa.
So what does that communicate about how we see trans children?
That's fucking wild.
You know?
It teaches them from an early age there's something wrong.
Exactly.
But in reality, there's nothing wrong.
Exactly. And they're so this is called bibliotherapy when you have a book that is about like it'll say like grandpa has cancer, right? And it's like
about your situation pertaining to what you're going through, and it's almost like going around, but it's not saying it's about.
No, bibliotherapy like tries to teach you about something using a picture book or like using a book. So the book will be like grandpa has cancer, and it's like a book about this grandpa who has cancer, and like you use it to teach your kid what that might be like, right? So, but the issue is that all of those books tend to be about like death or disease or divorce, and then every picture book with a trans kid is also filed right next to those things. So what is that telling them and their parents? That to be a trans child is to be the equivalent of death and disease? Like it's it's devastating.
Like it's like they're making it a dark subject when it's not a
Exactly.
dark subject.
Exactly.
Like the dark subject is them putting it there.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I didn't know that because that's really crazy because that's a very in a slang term a kind of a sneak diss in a way, in the sense of like they're doing that just really quietly, but someone like you that studies these things, you see this and you're like, yo, what the hell is this?
Right.
Like this should be over here with
Right.
all these other. That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
And the issue is twofold, right? Because first of all, trans kids aren't going to see themselves in the kids section. They're not going to see any protagonists like them. But then cis kids also are not going to be seeing any kids different than them. And so like it's a problem. So that's the type of thing that I do, is to analyze like, you know, what's going on in these books, and like that fucking matters. Like that matters because it's communicating very real things to very real children.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Wow, that's incredible. Well, I guess I'll get to the famous question Emily talked about that
Okay.
I ask everyone. So, as for the premise of the podcast,
Yeah.
I created the podcast because I struggle with getting inspired sometimes, and I didn't take my art seriously until you know, about a year ago. You know, like real seriously, like I wanted it to be my career.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things I run into, especially with a lot of the local artists I talk to, they kind of struggle with their craft and they don't think they're good enough, or they don't think, you know, kind of like what everyone goes through, you know, before they push you to get on stage to do something. And especially coming from your situation, what could you tell maybe someone that's a poet and they have some stuff? Because, you know, everyone's got secret things they write in their notes, you know, like they got like secret raps they write, or they got poems they wite, or they got songs they write.
Gonna flow for us?
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, you know me.
But you know,
Be
like
that battle poet.
you know, like people got these like secret art projects they want to do,
Yeah.
but are too embarrassed or maybe too, you know, shy to come out with them. Like, what could you possibly
Sure.
say to maybe push them a little bit to maybe even try?
Sure. So I think like the kind of cliche response that I've heard a lot, at least, is like, oh, don't be afraid of the shitty first draft, which I think is valid.
Yeah.
But for me, I have anxiety. Like I am a perfectionist. Like I am terrified of the shitty first draft even still. So I just don't find a lot of solace in that. But for me, like I would just say like find community, because that has been what has made me period, right? And then also like has made my art better. I write so much better now. You know, and obviously like that was because of experience and because of time and like just putting in work. But like I really would not be anywhere that I am without like having people that have been able to read drafts, like have given me feedback, when I was preparing for TGS, which is a competition in October in Bryan College Station, Ebony Stewart took her time for free and like did a Skype like coaching session with me and like choreographed like my poem.
That's awesome.
Like it's just stuff like that, right? And like and that's
So amazing.
she's she's ridiculous, and she's just only one of them, right? I mean, like everyone in our community in different ways has just constantly poured into me, and so like that has made me want to keep writing, and that has made me like not as afraid to share what I have. And so I think like for me it's all been about finding community and thinking about the links between art and community, because I really don't think that you can tease those things out.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really the community that is there to keep you inspired and keep you.
Absolutely.
And honestly, it's also a great comfortable wall to bounce things off of.
Oh yeah.
And that's what being part of art communities has helped me out a lot with.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like because with them, because you'll feel way comfortable giving it to someone, you know, letting someone that knows and understands you for their opinion rather than giving it to a stranger.
Oh, sure.
Because, you know, like if a stranger shuts you down, that hits a little harder than your friend shutting you down. and I say that because, you know, if someone random shuts you down for it, you think that everyone that's random hasn't seen your art before might hate it. But if it's someone that you care about and they'll give you an opinion, but you can take it a little easier. But also they can also, instead of just shutting you down, they can give you their advice from their view, from their point of view, But then also, if you have that community, you know, you can get different opinions
Yeah.
from everyone, and like they're good, positive opinions, and you know, especially because this is more like a subconscious thing, but everyone's a little anxious about their art.
Sure.
But you have that security in they're gonna give me their honest opinion,
Right.
but I know it's not gonna hurt
still
my
love
feeling.
me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna hurt. They're only telling me the truth because they care about my
Right.
success, and I think that's what's been really important in
Yeah.
that community.
I mean, I noticed even like prepping for this feature, right? Like I started really thinking about my poems, and I realized that everything that I have was either written in a 30 for 30, or like something similar
So
to it.
Devlin, I just want to I'm so sorry to get in that, but do you know what the 30 for 30 that she's talking about is?
Maybe, but go ahead and say it again.
I know
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not, and it's a private group. First, it started off as
I
a
could
private
I
thing.
could explain if you want. Yeah.
But he's not familiar necessarily.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
So I definitely think 30 for 30. What is 30 for 30? Let us know.
Yeah, so I mean, like I don't think we created. I think it's a thing, right? Because so April is
that's a
national.
private thing. I don't know how now. I personally.
Go ahead,
don't
explain
know.
it. Let's
Yeah,
hear it.
okay.
Let's
I don't
see
know
what
how
it
big
is.
it's got.
Okay. So April is National Poetry Month, and so
Absolutely.
just like people do NaNoWriMo in November for prose writing, NaPoWriMo is a thing. So it's not like a thing that Juan started. Christopher Diaz has led so many of them for Juan, but he didn't create this
No,
idea,
I didn't
right?
think he created 30 for 30, but the one you participated
Yeah.
and support, is it based off of the one thing, and does
Yeah.
that directly correlate with the other one, or is it supposed to be separate?
So it's just it's a
What's
thing.
your thing on that?
Yeah, it's just a group, right? So Christopher has created an incredible body of prompts. He's just like a beast with this, and he will put together, all these different. He'll have I think it's
No,
eight
yeah,
prompts,
you're right,
8
girl.
prompts a
He's a
day,
beast.
and
It's hard to keep up. He comes at you, and I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm not creative. I should have not done this.
So the 30 for 30
anyway,
is
you
it's
try
like
to
a
write
group.
30 poems in 30 days
Oh, wonderful.
is the goal, right, for National Poetry Month. And but what I love about Juan is that we usually don't just do it in April. We'll throw one together in
Yeah,
we
30
did
days means
November.
90 days.
No, we did a 30 for 30 in November. This past November, we also did one again in April. So we normally do one twice a year instead of just once a year. So that's a cool thing just to help generate art. And the idea is not to have a finished, polished piece at the end of every day, because that's kind of ludicrous. But the idea is just to write every day, to come out with something every day.
Yeah.
And so... yeah, and so all of my poems have either come from those specific 30 for 30s, which we put, we'll have a big Facebook group, and there are a bunch of different poets in there, which is really cool, and you have the support, and people can comment on your work, or have come from similar things, right, where it's me and a few other, a smaller group, and it's hey, we want to just try to write our asses off for the month of March just because, or hey, we want to try to write a poem a week for a year. What can we do to write? And it's just been, all of my work has come because I've been pushed from community members and held accountable by them. So
Absolutely, that's amazing. And once again, shout out Juan Poetry and Amir Safi for creating that community and creating the push and inspiring great artists like yourself to get out there and share what you have. And that's
absolutely.
that's amazing. So did you have any shout outs or shameless plugs for anything or
Shout outs or shameless plug, for my own stuff?
for your own stuff or whatever,
Anything,
people, inspirations, anybody?
No, yeah.
If you want to shout out anyone.
Anything you have going on,
Because, this is technically an international podcast. 2% of my listens are in
Oh,
Europe.
shit.
Technically.
It's all, any of the things. It's all Spotify, iTunes. Get it out there.
I mean, I would say the two people who have really just been supporting me from day one, helped edit, inspire, just everything. Y'all should definitely follow their work. Ebony Stewart and Christopher Diaz. I mean, they're just stupid
And,
good.
my goal and my dream is Ebony coming here and sitting at this table.
Yes, we should get them on soon. We
will
should make
be
this
in
happen.
heaven.
Yeah. So I mean, but everybody, like, you know, right about now more generally, like if you're not following right about now, like what are you doing?
Yes. Follow right about now at WAN Poetry on Instagrams where I follow him. I'm sure Amir has that handle on.
Oh, we got everything.
He's got it on.
Yeah.
He got it on everything. WAN Poetry, fantastic stuff. Go check out some of their videos. Follow everyone. It's fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thanks so much
It's
for having
fantastic.
me.
It was a
This
great feature, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you
was
so much.
wonderful.
My first feature. So.
Very first feature.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah. Did you get your autograph poster?
I did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach, coming back on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Emily, for coming on. We appreciate you coming back always. Stephanie, we appreciate you. Wonderful. All right, you guys. Artists Debt Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, hit the little bell button if you got Apple Podcasts. You get notifications when new episodes come up and all that. Leave us a positive review if you want. Constructive criticism. Make it negative. I don't care. I'll battle you in the comments. I don't mind.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a great night. Love y'all. You've been listening to the Artists in Depth Podcast, motivating creative minds through artistic exploration. If you like what you're hearing, please be sure to give us a rating or a positive review. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at vonpatrickarts@gmail.com. That is VONPATRICK@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you.